set up our warehouse, and the people in our parts department, they're right next to the warehouse door. So if they need to look at something, pull something off the shelf, if a customer needs additional pictures of it, it's right there. We've really only hit the tip of the iceberg as far as everything that we purchased. We're adding 20 to 30 items a day, but there's another 2,000 to 3,000 items that we need to add. We'd like people to understand that we're not just a parts guy answering a phone, entering a part number, that we really know the cars, that we can help, that you're not just buying the part from us, you're buying the assistance. You're getting the knowledge and the help of what part's the right part for your car, how to put it on, where it goes, a little bit more than just here's your part, thank you kind of thing.
It's the shortest lap of the season as Spec-5 World Tour comes to Knockhill in Scotland. Super challenging circuit, aggressive curbs, aggressive elevation change, all around a very, very compact 1.25 mile circuit. 45 minutes is going to deliver a lot of laps for Spec-5 World Tour tonight. And we'll be bringing you all of it live here on HJBC. Myself, David Haynes, Devin Peters, Michael Derby, and of course, with the support of RC Sales. Go to rcsales.com for all that is Porsche. RC has thousands of parts available for virtually any Porsche model, providing high quality service with a personal approach, and with worldwide shipping available, you won't need to go anywhere else. Visit rcsales.com today. Devin, I've been watching them in practice. We're getting into qualifying right now. This is a very, very interesting circuit for the fact that it is under 1.5 miles and only a couple of corners.
It's Scottish. And I think that's the most that you could say about it. It's like people wanted the cars to have a fist fight in every corner. And so they just made all the corners really small and the track really narrow. And it's going to be an excellent show, I gotta say.
Well, they're all getting ready for qualifying now. In the typical format, they get 15 minutes to set 4 laps. And at somewhere like Road America, just a week ago, we were saying, oh, you need to get out of the pit exit pretty promptly at the start of the session if you're going to get around to set 4 laps in 15 minutes. Here, we are under no such duress, where lap times in practice have been approaching the sort of 50-second mark. In fact, the fastest lap of practice was 54 seconds. So not even a minute. Everyone sub 1 minute around here. That is a good feat in these Mazda MX-5s that are our car all season long in the Spec-5 World Tour.
Yeah, the second sector is 9 seconds long, in case you're wondering. So we're gonna be whipping through qualifying today, but it will allow us to see the very fine margins that separate the front end of this field.
And you can see the very, very fine margins that separate the field if you go to hjbc.live, which has our live timing for all of the broadcasts that we cover, both here and the Champ Car iRacing series. And already we are sort of halfway around the first flying laps, and some drivers like young Andrew Gilliland here, very, very keen to get out the gate, get their laps finished. We are in a morning session, so it's possible that the sun keeps coming out, keeps warming up the track. Very, very nice for the people of Scotland to see the sun. I get the feeling like it doesn't happen quite as often as maybe in Florida or other places that we've raced on the calendar this year.
Yeah, Andrew Gilliland's actually come by and set the fastest lap so far, 56.4. Open driver, second place in the championship in the open side right now. Won't see that hold, I gotta imagine though, but the tires are pretty cold on that first lap.
Getting a great impression of the curbs in multiple places around the circuit here, that if you want to find speed, you've really got to, as the kids say, yeet across them. And again, in fact, the kids were probably saying yeet like 5 years ago and they've moved on now. I don't know. But certainly a real challenge to set a quick lap is to really aggressively monster these red curbs. Ronnie Coates in red, the championship leader, is showing us as well what he's going to do to try to qualify up front. This won't be our typical draft pack racing like happens at other circuits. So qualifying might just be a little more crucial here.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be crucial for passing because I think there's about one real passing opportunity on the track. Track is really cold though right now. You pointed that out correctly. It was 73 on the track, 66 in the air. So these guys are going to be feeling the pain of those cold tires, but we're starting to see some representative lap times come in. Nick Rice-Puto puts in a 55.4 last time by.
Yeah, he goes to the top and very, very handsomely as well. Almost half a second there. I think we're seeing a few of these drivers really try to save it for their third or fourth lap to really, really get aggressive on those curbs. Because like you say, they're challenging at the best of times, but on low tire pressures, even more unpredictable when you unload the car, get a bit of yaw in the air and all of that. So again, even that final corner, you don't really need to ride the curb, but it's so difficult because of how steep it is at the apex. Some drivers almost sort of stay half a car width away from it and find a lot of speed. Reminds me of one of the hairpins at Suzuka in that way, where sometimes you think, oh, they didn't get to the apex, but it doesn't really matter because of the elevation. You find grip in some slightly different places. Camden Hibbert jumps up into second. Good lap time from him. That was his third lap completed. Now he's on to his fourth. This is his final attempt in qualifying.
Yeah, and the other factor is, of course, putting in some bankers before you go and launch it across the curbs, because even a 1X is going to disqualify that time. And I think a lot of these guys are kind of losing times here left and right. I'm seeing purple sectors and green sectors that aren't amounting to anything. Mike Dam takes it to the top, showing that Canadian-Scottish connection, you know?
Sure, yeah, he goes to the top, and he's on his final lap here as well. When I think of a Celtic Canadian connection, I'm really thinking of those cute little Newfie accents, but that's just me. Timon Bramley goes to the top, and he's also got one more lap to go. This could get super exciting in these final laps of qualifying, and there's still some drivers that haven't even left the pit lane yet that we'll keep an eye on in the back half of the session. But Timon Bramley with 0.06 of a second to the top, trying to keep it just within track limits, really, really pressing on hard as he can. Mike Dam crosses the line, and he goes slightly faster.
I was just waving my hand because Mike Dam said a fast lap, it must be said. And bumps the New Zealander out of place, showing the pecking order of the Commonwealth is being reestablished.
New Zealander?
I don't know.
You must be mistaking him for me now that I'm Shane Van Gisbergen's #1 fan. But damn, and now Bramley crosses the line. He closes the gap to Mike Dam, but does not usurp him. So at the moment, Mike Dam will definitely be ahead of Timon Bramley on the grid. Will that be the pole? There's only a few drivers left that could take it away. You'd be really hoping for a turn of speed from drivers like Trevor Roy, David Stabe, Eugenio Polici. I guess I wouldn't count him or Rui Coimbra out. Coimbra's been a race winner, and Andy Kosick also hasn't set a lap just yet either. So there's just 5 or so drivers that have gone and said, you know what, let's let everyone else go in the first half of the session, and I'll come out later on.
Michael Coates is coming to the line. He's set a pretty fast first sector. We'll see if this one's good enough to bump him up into the top 5. And it almost does. 6th place as he crosses the line there with a few other drivers left to go. And that was his 4th lap.
Yep, correct. It was. So Mike Dam's going to go around and practice his pit entry, I think. He's doing a cool down lap. Rui Coimbra is on the attack. And of course, with the 45-minute race coming up that will have... No, he's on a tyre warm-up. He's attacking for tire temperature, mayhaps. David Stabe also out there, but with the 45-minute race coming up, drivers are going to need to use the pit lane to fuel. Exactly how much remains to be seen, but practicing the pit in, pit out could be critical. Here's how Eugenio Polici has struggled. David Stabe also struggling. Cold tires are a menace. The curbs are a menace here. Keep an eye out for that, both now in qualifying, but also when we get to the race. This is a replay of Stabe getting so much of that curb, getting a little bit of that gravel, and finding the wall.
Yeah, critically, Stabe and Coimbra didn't make practice laps today. And they may very well have been in the practice yesterday, but it's a track that requires a lot of commitment. There's a lot of blind crests and a lot of curbs that need abusing to find the lap time. So it's going to be really hard to get out here cold without a lot of practice.
Oh, absolutely lethal jump there from Rui Coimbra. Still no time yet on the board for the number 78.
We will be hoping for one, you know. There's this corner up ahead, Taylor's Bend maybe. That is probably your best passing opportunity on the circuit, but other than that, it's pretty hard fought around here.
Very late apex with the shape of the hill in that final corner. Rui Coimbra on his first flying lap, about to show us a starting point. That lap doesn't count. So do you know what that tells me? A lot about turn number 5 or 6, I think it was there.
Yeah, he was on the wrong side of the curb. You got to keep at least one tire on the correct side of the red curbing on the right-hander up here. And it's a tricky thing to do. He gets it right this time, so we'll see if he gets the rest of it right.
Gave it noticeably much more respect that time around. So for the second flying lap, I think you're still in sort of banker territory coming out of the chicane. And then thinking about maybe lap 3 or 4, pushing on a little bit harder. When your first lap was invalidated, now you've really just got to make something stick before you lay it all out too far. Out the final corner, he goes. Second lap for Rui Coimbra, and we're about to see what it's worth. Notably, the start-finish line quite a long way out of the final corner. Will be interesting to see. Coimbra jumps up to 17th, still with about a second and a half to find if he's going to trouble pole, about a second to find if he's going to trouble the top 10.
Yeah, Stabe's out there running around 57.4 last time. And backed it up with another. We'll see if he's able to find a little bit. He's setting green sectors so far this time. Still losing a lot in that middle sector, though. I don't think he's attacking the curbs quite as much as he needs to be.
Pollicci goes up to 9th, so he's starting to find a little bit of speed, and this is his final lap, and you can see he's attacking it at the very start of the lap, getting the inside tyres way in the air as he climbs the curb, and then the circuit drops away, and you get masses and masses of airtime. Now at the chicane, almost flat out here, you've got to just pick the line correctly, carry the speed well on the exit. You get to a 90-degree right-hander. Rui Coimbra jumps up to 4th, and he's also still got one more lap to go. So some of these drivers, right at the end of the session here, tiny bit of cloud cover mayhaps, finding some speed, and we know these are quick guys, Rui Coimbra and Eugenio Pollicci, racing up the front all season long. Coimbra, I think, took the win at Laguna Seca, if I recall. Now out of the final corner, Eugenio Pollicci, his final attempt in qualifying, lap 4 of 4. Can it move him up from 10th place? Can he find some time? He can, to go up to 4th. Now Rui Coimbra, just behind on his final lap, has been moved down from 4th into 5th, and he gets in a narrow angle, little wide of the apex. In the final corner, we'll see if that's quick. He doesn't look to be aborting the lap. He's going to take it all the way to the line. 5th place, only 3/10 from pole. Can he find some improvement here as he crosses the line? And the answer is, I think he found about a couple thousandths of a second. He stays in 5th, but he did go quicker. Only drivers left with lap times to burn. Lee Martin, the man from the YouTube thumbnail, actually. Apparently, I've been told that's a bit of a curse, and I thought it would have been a place of pride, but apparently no one wants it. So we'll see if it brings Lee Martin fortune or not. And I've noticed quite a few drivers, Devon, using a little bit of that pit exit to open up the angle into the first 2 corners.
Yeah, it's I think a key part of setting a fast lap around here, but it's also something that was mentioned in the driver's briefing as a risky part of the track. So the entry, very clear, very wide open. The exit is going to be an action area, I have to think, when we get to the mandatory pit stops in this race.
On the railway straight, named such because used to be a railway line, but then to Taylor's Bend at the final end here. Looking for that very wide entry, late apex. Car gets a little bit light on the crest as you go through the middle of the corner for Lee Martin. Green sectors so far as he crosses the line, but the lap does count at a 57.3, and he's got 2 more laps to go. Great onboard showing the track drops away. You've got to stay to the left-hand side for this tight right-hander here and keep it within track limits, and then carrying speed, masses of elevation change. You just can't see where the track is on the other side. You've got to trust it, a little bit like the corkscrew. One of the more simple corners on the circuit here. It's a 90-degree right-hander, but again with a little bit of elevation right at the apex that wants to pitch you out wide and sideways, and then you're thinking about one final braking zone on the lap. Really good sectors so far from Lee Martin, what I see here. So he's just got to bring it all together at the end here on his 3rd lap, carry speed into the 4th, and he could still qualify well.
Yeah, that was a quicker lap for him. Still not lighting the timing sheets on fire, but a 56.4. Lee said in our notes, Lee said that his superpower was being this slow despite racing in this league for this long. So we'll see if he lives up to his own expectations today, after he surprises us all and makes a push for the front.
Still improving on his final lap. Charles Vaccaro has also joined, and he will probably not get around to set any qualifying laps with only 30 seconds left. Lee Martin will be the last driver to qualify. He really doesn't need to find much time at all to jump a heap of positions. With a lap this short, the times are very, very close. 200ths would get him 1 spot. 2/10ths would get him another 5 or so. And he looks like he's improved all of the sectors so far. And now it's just about keeping the throttle pinned to the timing line. And he does jump all the way up into 11th. Found about 4/10ths on that final lap to jump him from, he was in 18th or so, up into 11th. That's the end of qualifying. That's our grid locked in for the 45-minute race at Knockhill in Spec-5 World Tour. Mike Dam and Timon Bramley have the front row. Mike Dam will have the inside on the opening lap. Then Nick Rice-Bruto, Eugenio Pellicci, Rui Coimbra, Camden Hibbert, Ronnie Coates, Michael Coates. Can't keep those guys apart. Simon Foweather in 9th, and the open class pole sitter, Andrew Gilliland, there in 10th. Lee Martin ended up just behind them, and then Trevor Roy. Jose Gonzalez, 2nd in class, had a great showing last race as well in that open class. And Geordie Fike, Tom Athon will be 3rd in the open class, and the grid is completed by Ken Copeland, Gianni Mauro, David Stabe, Paulo Coimbra, Greg Mack, Andy Kosick, and Charles Vaccaro. Joining late, only driver without a qualifying time, but he will be allowed to grid. Someone had a start from pit lane?
I want to say Kane Lasky is the only driver that's currently outstanding for a start from pit lane, and he hasn't made the race today. So he's opted to take the sit-out option. You can either sit out a race, or you can serve your penalty in the race. Either way, he'll be dealing with that, and no one else will be on the pit lane. So we'll have all 22 drivers eligible to take it into into this start line, and it's going to be a busy first turn if they're too wide. Got to think. In the driver's briefing, I also heard some finger wagging about avoiding 3 wide, so we'll see who's the first to break that rule today.
A lot of towers on the hill back there, but you get great phone reception at this circuit. Not a lot of tracks can say that. But yeah, very, very short formation lap here, even though it's the full formation lap. 1.25 miles, about 2 kilometers. Very, very short layout around here. And our pole time was super rapid because of it.
Gotta let you know, you're talking about the train tracks down the back straight. You'll be very excited to know that the bathrooms were once a former British Rail goods van.
Oh, that is exciting. I've seen a bunch of accommodation that's refurbished, streetcar carriages, tram carriages, train carriages. I'm like, oh, actually looks pretty good. It's got a nice little, wood veneer aesthetic to it all. So I love, all the different circuits, their little different cute characteristics like this. I'm looking at the grid forming up because they're already at the final corner, and it looks like Pellicci in 4th is giving a lot of space to the front 3. probably wants to pack that up at the moment. Mike Dam and Simon Bramley holding the speed. Mike Dam really woeing up the whole field, waiting on the green flag before we run into the chicane at turns 1 and 2. The green flag does drop. The outside lane gets a pretty good jump, but this is a narrow track. They're on cold tires, and we know that the curbs are lethal in this situation. Around the outside, Simon Bramley looking to take the race lead away, and he does. By the time they get to turn number 3, he's got to come around the outside. There's not a whole lot of grip there. He gets a huge tank slapper, and Mike Dam gets his race lead back.
On brave moments up the inside, deeper in the field, Gianni Morrow took it 2 wide, nearly 3 wide, and they're piling up in the chicane.
Ken Copeland gets tagged. He goes around and he tags David Stabe in the runoff as Stabe tries to avoid all that was transpiring there. Jose Gonzalez, it looks, also dropping back, and he might have some damage there. So already in the middle to the rear of the field, some issues. Up front, Mike Dam has managed to hold on to his race lead, but Nick Rice-Puto has also come through on Simon Bramley, now back into 3rd place. Ronnie Coates making some moves from 7th on the grid up to 5th. Eugenio Polici also dropping back a couple spots. Looked like he was a little timid on the race start as well. With 1 lap completed, the tyre temperatures are still not there, but they're getting a little more aggressive with the curbs in the opening section of the lap.
That's a beautiful thing to see a bunch of guys drive Miatas around a track like this. Everyone hopping the curbs and blind over the apexes with the guy millimeters away. It's a pretty thing to see for sure.
Hard in mouth stuff for Nick Rice-Puto as he got a little ambitious with the second curb at the chicane, had to make a big correction, but he stays right in behind the race leader, which is where he wants to sit. And Rui Coimbra up in 4th place. They're starting to queue up behind him there as well. Ronnie Coates, we know, championship leader, red numbers signify that on his car, and he is pushing on. And there's a couple of drivers behind, including Eugenio Polici, who's trying to find his mojo back again. Great run off the final corner from Camden Hibbert, and he has a look on Polici. He's going to have another look, looking to the inside at turns 1, 2, and 3. And wow, Eugenio Polici says, "On you go, young Camden Hibbert. I'm not going to try to battle you side by side in one of the most lethal corners around the track."
Yeah, survival will be key, and there's plenty of times to make up time, but it's hard to make up a lot of time when you go and make a big mistake. Speaking of, yeah.
Man was in 2nd place. He's gone all the way across the grass, had a big moment. Timon Bramley goes up into 2nd, and Rice-Puto might have seen the Reaper and had to tell him to go away, not today. In that moment, the grass and the gravel are super, super slippery here as well.
Yeah, it's sketchy business out there. Pretty much as soon as you put a tire off the track. Andrew Gilliland's gone and gotten it wrong out of the final corner. We see him spinning off. I was just going to compliment him for leading. Luckily, I didn't have a chance to put a curse on him before he did it to himself. Yeah,
so out the final corner, he's tagged a tiny bit of the grass. It's looped him around, and instead of just driving back down to the next part of the pavement, he's tried to directly rejoin uphill off the grass, and that he just manages to keep enough momentum. I'd have almost been tempted to go the long way, but on the sealed stuff. And he drops as far back as where Andy Cosick and Ken Copeland are there in 18th and 19th. Now he's in 20th. Drama's in front of that.
Yeah, Cosick's just had an off. He's kind of gotten it wrong, making a little bit of room for Ken Copeland to get by maybe after Copeland was involved in the earlier dramas. And sure enough, Paulo Coimbra gets out of the way of Copeland as well. But Copeland's making quick work of the back of the field after his issues early on.
So the couple of big movers at the moment, Ronnie Coates in 5th place, having gained a couple spots. You've got this leading group from the leaders back to about Michael Coates in 9th. And then Gianni Morrow started 17th, and he now runs 11th. We've seen quite a bit of drama happen in front of him. 2 people like Cosick, Jose Gonzalez, Andrew Gilliland, etc. And he has moved forward. He's looking very, very racy in these racing conditions.
I will
it's funny
say,
to see Coates in 9th, by the way.
That is true. You don't see Coates that far back. But I was going to say Gianni was very close to some of those incidents early on. I'm curious to see if there was some netcode in the incident review session that may have contributed to some of those. But he's getting active here. He's lining up a move by the looks of things on Trevor Roy after closing him down over the last lap or so.
So into Taylor's the final corner. He's going to look to the inside. I think if you get the inside and you hold your opponent wide here, you can still get a good run off the corner. But if you turn in shallow, you're going to light up the rear wheels. Something about the differential on these cars doesn't seem to like one of the tires being in the air. It really spins up and smokes the inside tire, and he doesn't get a great run off that corner, but he still holds the inside for turn number 1, which is absolutely where you want to be. The driver on the outside knows that if they try to commit to that, it very well might end with them in the grass or in the wall. But now he gets wide and into the grass on the exit of turn number 3 to the chicane, though he'll hold his place. Here's a quote from Michael Coates earlier in the week. "This is what I do. I find fast coattails and I hold on for dear life." That's kind of what I think he's doing right now in 9th place, watching the leaders in Taylor's just out the front of him.
Yeah, he does a really nice line through that final corner, though. Really diamonds it well and gets a good run on the exit. So I think he'll be able to hold on to those coattails for yet one more lap.
And that's why we call him the coats hanger, holding on to the leading group, watching them and just biding his time, waiting for the pit stop to try to jump some positions rather than take too much risk in the first stage of the race. And there's a risk as he nearly runs up the back of 8th place, Simon Foweather. Foweather finding a challenge across the curb. And so difficult to get the car back in control once you've lost it. It's out of control at 2. At 3, just on turn in, maybe a poor downshift or something like that. Too far rearward on the brake bias.
Yeah, hard to say, but Foweather will just be waving his fist at the damn Brits outside the car, knowing his British heritage. But he's going to be having to hold off of a threat from Johnny Morrow behind.
An Englishman, a Scotsman, and Michael Coates walk into a bar. I guess that's probably got to be the punchline. This is where he's gone backwards to Simon Foweather, now under pressure from the biggest mover in the race, Gianni Mayuro. I'm going to make a better attempt here. Mayuro.
Ooh,
and
nice.
Ink Machine has a look at the inside of turn number 3 and nearly sends Foweather sideways through that corner for the second time of asking. Haven't seen many moves make there. I think you either get a great run out of the final corner and get to the inside of turn 1, or you make a big dive into the final corner. Those are just about the only passing opportunities aside from the guy in front of you taking a bad ride across one of the curbs.
I got to say that was a nice bit of defense there from Simon Foweather, though. And Foweather looks like a guy who's seen a race or two around this track with the way he's defending, taking the inside line into the final corner. And we'll see if he's able to hold it as he pinches, does a good job of parking on the apex, and he gets a little bit of tag from Gianni, but he's still able to hold on to the place. You can have all the run you want in the world, but if you can't go through the guy in front of you, then you're going to have a hard time overtaking him. He's going to go too wide into 1. And he threatens. And Foweather has to gather it up and gives up the spot.
Very, very interesting move there. Late look from Mayuro. Foweather is a man who doesn't take any silly business, and he closes that door, but in doing so, doesn't get the line perfectly right through what I believe is called Duffer's Dip.
Yep.
And puts him offline into turn 3 where Mayuro gets through. Tom Athon, our Open Class Championship leader.
Yeah, sorry. Action at the front. We just had a little 3-wide moment as Tim and Branley had a little bit of a moment coming out of the final turn by the looks of things. He and Mike Dam were making contact, and that's allowed Nick Rice-Puto to come all the way back from 3rd place up to the front of the grid.
Yeah, so here's the replay of it. Bramley down the inside, runs all the way out, runs a little wide, parks Mike Dam, and Simon Bramley shoots from 3rd up into 1st. Rui Coimbra watching on in 4th place is a little bit of our breakaway at the moment, unless Camden Hibbert, Ronnie Coates, and Eugenio Pollicci can catch them. Camden Hibbert might be the guy. He's just gotten past Ronnie Coates as well. We saw when Hibbert got past Pollicci. So all of a sudden, Camden Hibbert making a couple of moves here and looking to close the gap to the race leaders, which he has done. So even without the slipstream that we've had so strongly at other tracks like Daytona and Road America, our leaders staying together, and I think it's just out of how difficult it is to pass here.
I think there's that. I do think the draft is a factor around here too, though. We are seeing some pretty quick lap times from everyone, right near that qualifying pace. And the other thing is that because it is such a tight track, there's a lot of opportunities that look like overtaking opportunities, even if they're not. Oh, and Mike Dam runs it wide. He's all 4 tires off and trying to gather it up as he goes through the grass, the dirt, and the grass again. And he'll gather it back up, but that's cost him a lot of momentum. He'll be down in 6th place after all is said and done. Assuming Ronnie Coates gets the move done up the inside here. And he does nicely.
So Mike Dam dropping significant positions at the moment. What's the pit lane speed limit here? Now I'm thinking about it. 60 kilometers an hour, so 35, 40 miles an hour. I think it's 37 miles an hour, actually. Yeah, I just did that in my head and I got it right. I'm actually very, very pleased with myself, and I think it shows, regrettably. Yeah, so short pit lane, but not a quick one.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
There's Mike Dam digging up a little bit of the Scottish gravel.
I was going to say, one thing he might have gotten a bit wrong is the Mike Coates story, because despite the fact that he's been all alone over the last few laps with no coattails to hang on to, he's kind of fighting his way back into contention with this group that includes Eugenio Polici after getting separated when the likes of Simon Foweather had an issue earlier on. Perhaps getting a little bit of an assist from the battling ahead.
Recap there of the class positions with Nick Rice-Puerto, Timon Bramley, Rui Coimbra as the top 3 outright, but Andrew Gilliland, Paulo Coimbra, Jose Gonzalez as the top 3 in open class. I think as we get towards the tail end of this championship, the open class could be very, very interesting between Gilliland, who led early, Tom Aithon, who is a very experienced head and has shown that maturity to get the championship lead, but at the moment, Gilliland running well here, so I wonder how that could play out.
Yeah, I think Gilliland will have to do a little bit more in the overall standings to make the points count, to really close down that gap. He's about 52 points behind Tom Aithon, which is a pretty significant gap with all drop weeks factored in. But there are still 3 rounds left, and this would be a good one for him to make up some serious points.
I see your outright race leader trying to break that slipstream down the pit straight. So Nick Rice-Puerto came out of the final corner, went all the way to the right, now comes back across to use a little bit of that pit exit, get just the right amount of curb between 1 and 2. I think Rui Coimbra got the wrong amount of curb. He's now out of position and needing to defend from Camden Hibbett, who looks to cross back over-under on him. Every single lap is a bit of a roll of the dice when you've got to make these leaps across the curb, because it's an unpredictable thing to do, like the bumps at Sebring, and now second place runs off the road. Timon Bramley loses that spot. Rui Coimbra, from being the hunted, becomes the hunter. He goes up in a second, and now the whole train moves to the right-hand side to try to penalise that mistake from Timon Bramley. Camden Hibbett has got Ronnie Coates trying to follow him down the inside in the final corner. He gets the braking wrong. Bramley runs off the road, nose first into the wall, knocks the bumper off. He was wrong-sided, looking at the drivers to his right-hand side, and he flat out missed his braking marker and has paid a big, big price.
The way he wiggled, it was almost like he missed the brake pedal at first, you know, like the way a guy does when the car just doesn't give him the braking pressure he's looking for. Either way, that's given Nick Rice-Puerto the breakaway he was hoping for. Big
dramas for Timon Bramley, and as you say, Nick Rice-Puerto now leads the race almost 3 seconds. Coimbra from Hibbett now the podium. Ronnie Coates, championship leader, up into 4th.
Checking back in deeper in the field, there's a real battle brewing between Simon Foweather and Gianni Morrow, and it's just been solved. After Foweather got by on the last lap in the middle of all that other drama, Gianni came back and gave him a big shunt going into turn 1 to take the spot back, and then Foweather this time returned the favor going through 3 and put Gianni out onto the dirt. Gianni's recovered pretty well though here. He might be able to find his way back around Trevor Roy and have his claws into Simon Foweather sooner than I might think. Been very racy back here, though. Yeah,
Mayuro looking very, very racy. But again, Simon Foweather, a guy who just doesn't stand for any nonsense. And he doesn't stand for that. How about one of our first scheduled looking pit stops from Trevor Roy? He's seen what's happening in front of him, seen what's happening behind him, and decided, no, I'll try to find my guys. He's at a unique angle in the pit lane, but this should be a relatively low fuel consumption track. We'll see exactly how much he goes for. He doesn't go for any tires. That much is obvious for Trevor Roy, and he's now heading up to about 15 seconds of fuel. I wonder if we'll see some stops quite a bit shorter than that later on, because we are 15 laps in and not even 15 minutes into this race. Normally, we see a lot of drivers looking to pit sort of past the halfway point of the race.
Yeah, I will say that this has pretty critically allowed Gianni to get right back on the bumper of Simon too, so that battle is not over as we might have expected. We'll see. Simon Foweather's opted to take the pits this time, though. I think he decided that discretion is the better part of valor there. doesn't want to be involved in that fist fight.
37 miles an hour looking for his pit crew in the lane, and your race leader still with 3 seconds, but behind it is ferocious. Rui Coimbra from Camden Hibbett making positions in this race so far. Ronnie Coates, Mike Dam led at points, was the pole sitter, got dropped quite a bit back, little mistakes costing a lot in a group like this. And then Michael Coates is up into 6th ahead of Eugenio Pollicci. So I think we might have missed a mistake from Pollicci at some point.
Yeah, I think he was just giving back slowdown because he got offline. He lifted pretty big, and either he didn't want to be running in that position, or he was serving a slowdown. That's for sure.
All 16-second pit stops so far, by the way, as well. So Simon Foweather, Trevor Roy rejoined very, very close to each other. Andy Kosick also with 16 seconds of fuel. And here is Simon Foweather under a little bit of pressure from Trevor Roy, both pro-class drivers. So it's 4 biscuits, which is what they call them around here. And down the inside, but again, leaves you very, very compromised with the elevation change. If you're shallow on the way in, you ride far more of the off-camber part of the final corner. You can't get the throttle open how you would like. Simon Foweather knows that. He's back, nose in front, on the inside line, exactly where you want to be in towards turn number 1.
Oh, and I don't know if there was contact there. I don't think there was, but it sure acted like there was, as Trevor Roy swung left and then hit the brakes and ran straight to the pits. There was a solid gap between them, but it's hard to say, you know.
I think Trevor Roy's had some kind of other problem.
Yeah, he's gone and retired from the race all of a sudden. So I'm going to say that's some sort of wheel issue that's popped up suddenly. Shame for him, though.
Technical or something else, potentially. Rui Coimbra runs out wide. This is the second place driver. Camden Hibbett aggressively moving forward. Second youngest driver in the field. He would be a very young driver in almost any other field, but Andrew Gilliland makes him look like a wise old head in this field. And massive oversteer, no traction for Rui Coimbra coming out of the final corner. Camden Hibbett goes to second place. Ronnie Coates goes up into third. It checked up Camden Hibbett. Now he's under pressure from Coates into turn number 1. Coates opts to stay behind, but that just goes to show when you've got to be defensive or you're trying to overtake in that final corner, that little bump at the apex really can do a lot.
Yeah, you're not used to having to monitor your right foot in this thing, but it certainly causes you to be able to spin up the tires. That little bump does, and these guys are finding that out the hard way. As we were going down the pit straight there too, you would have seen a little bit of tire smoke from Tom Aton. He's taken his scheduled stop and come back out and rejoin the track. That's our overall points leader in open. And this leading pack with Nick Rice-Puto ahead is actually only about 5 seconds away, I'd say, from Simon Foweather on track. So just to give you a sense of where these folks are, relatively speaking, around the track, it's looking like lap traffic time pretty soon here.
Yeah, doing 55-second laps and seeing some 32-second pit stop time. So it doesn't take a whole lot to fall off the lead lap around here. Sort of our impersonation of short track racing, mayhaps. Some of the racings looked a little bit like that. Not too much bump and run, but a lot of fender to fender kind of stuff. Someone had a rough ride over one of those curbs. I think it was Coates.
Yeah, Coates used them all.
Mike Dam now.
Yeah, Coates used all the curbs that time, but he did a pretty good job of gaining ground with it. And if there was some slowness, I think he's learned all that he's going to learn, because he's opted to go to the pit lane this time after closing down that gap pretty significantly on this last lap.
So the pace car is in the middle of the lane, and some people's pit stalls are beyond it, and some are before it. Interesting.
Can't see that going wrong. Luckily, there's no cautions in this series. Ooh, and an extra dab of the brakes there from Camden Hibbett as they went across the chicane, as he gathered it back up.
Sam Coates actually rejoins in a little bit of traffic as well. So if the leaders know that, they won't be thinking about pitting too early, because he's made his pit stop and he comes up behind all these drivers in front of him who haven't stopped yet. Lee Martin, David Stabe, Paulo Coimbra, the next car in front of him. So they don't need to get out of his way. Paulo Coimbra might do so accidentally as he runs wide. Oh, and again, this is starting to cost a little bit of time, even if he gets by at the next corner.
Ooh. I think Coimbra's realized all of a sudden that he might not be racing this racer in particular, because he raced him really hard and then I think checked his black box or recognized a paint job and all of a sudden dived out of the way. Speaking of diving, we got a lot of cars diving for the pit lane ahead. That's Lee Martin, Ken Copeland, and Greg Mack all hitting the pit lane this time by. That'll be welcome news for Michael Coates as he strives to get through all this.
Just one lap before the halfway point of the race as well. Yeah, you see, that's pretty busy. I always think about the Top Gear episode where they assembled a Caterham in one of those garages. Do you recall that episode?
A beauty, yes.
I think I've only seen it once, but here we go. It looks like Simon Foweather's going to be just in front of Geordie Fike as the racing comes back underway. But that's the outright race leader, Nick Rice-Puto, just behind them as well. He's starting to catch a little bit of traffic. So I wonder if that motivates him to say, well, hang on, if there's traffic in front of me, how is pitting and ending up in a little bit of other traffic any worse?
Yeah,
I guess the only difference is blue flags.
Yeah, I was going to say he's got the advantage of blue flags right now. Something he probably won't lose if he takes that early stop. It is a little interesting. To me, you generally want to run it as long as you can, provided you're not losing too much time, and I don't think he will here.
Well, that's the difference, right? See, right now, he's catching cars that have pitted and are being shown blue flags. If he stops, he's amongst cars that haven't stopped, and he's racing them for position, even if he's ahead of them on the strategy, and they don't have blue flags. So I suspect carrying on now is still the lesser of the evils.
Yeah, and I always like to run a car as close as you can to empty, especially around a track like this where being nimble helps.
Rui Coimbra pits from 5th or 6th is about where he was. And in front of them, this is a great battle where Camden Hibbett has gotten ahead into 2nd place. He's doing very, very well so far at Knockhill, having started 6th on the grid, dropped back off the initial race start. He's picked up a couple more spots as he's gone.
I just love the shots as they come up through that chicane and launch it 3 tires off the ground, maybe all 4, depending on how right or wrong you get it. It's really a special sight.
So do you get more airtime if you get it right or get it wrong? I'd say you get it right, you get more airtime. They're going for pit entry here between Camden Hibbett, Ronnie Coates. They're opting to pit, and a couple of other cars in the lane as well. We've now got more of the field having stopped than not, so that maybe makes it about time for the leaders to pit rather than catch that traffic. Left-hand side tyres for Hibbett there on the 32. Got a great view of it. Ronnie Coates knows it.
Yeah, I was following along with Nick Rice-Puto. He managed to make the move on Simon Foweather with a lot of help from Foweather, but Foweather's checking up cost him a bunch of pace too. So
Ronnie Coates jumps Camden Hibbett through the pit lane there. So Hibbett ends up behind after the stops, but we'll have fresher left-hand side tyres to work with for the next 21 minutes, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's the next 23 laps, which does sound like a lot. So pick your measurement and I guess see if you think it's going to work.
Yeah, still lapping without a stop just yet. We've got Mike Dam out there and Johnny Morrow as well, by the looks of things.
Gilliland was the open class leader, and he comes out of the pit lane as well. So yeah, just 4 cars that haven't stopped right now. Rice-Puto, Mike Dam, Gianni Mayuro, and Paulo Coimbra. Is it cleared up on track in front of Nick Rice-Puto at the moment? I think it has a little bit.
Yeah, and it has for Gianni as well. So I'm kind of wondering how this overcut is going to play out for him. For Gianni, at least, it feels like a great idea. For Mike Dam right now, it's probably feeling like the worst idea in the world, because if you get a look out of his front windshield, that's a lot of cars, and he responds in kind, taking the pits this time.
Yeah, he does. I'll get your opinion in a second on what color you think Mayuro's car is, because I don't think it's quite pink or fuchsia. I think it's a little more, definitely not rose. It might be salmon.
It's very salmony. I might even call it fleshy.
If you were painting Warhammer figurines, yes, I'd take that.
But that being said, he's got a Brandt sponsorship, Brandt Professional Agriculture on the front of the car, and as a guy who lives in a town that's got a great big old Brandt factory, I can get behind that, you know.
Okay.
It's kind of funny because, you know, Jeremy Clarkson goes out and buys the Lambo, and now we got Gianni repping the Saskatchewan tractors from
nice.
Club
You've got to look
Florida.
out for those Saskatchewan pirates, though, that would steal your agricultural products if you're not
Absolutely.
careful.
Absolutely.
Only Captain Tractor's version, only 3 that haven't stopped: Nick Rice-Puto, Gianni Mayuro, and Paolo Coimbra. Here is the race leader. He's running long. Lap times still look pretty good. I guess the benchmark I would compare him against is Camden Hibbert, who did take those left-hand side tires. Everything is a right-hand corner here, and I think it's fair to say the corners that are left-hand corners, you've hardly got your tires on the ground anyway. So left sides could be the way to go. They do get a workout here, but he's behind Ronnie Coates and still needing to make a pass.
Well, Camden's never been one to shy away from making a pass, so I wouldn't be too surprised to see one brewing here. And Mike Dam's lurking behind too for when they botch it.
And the Coates hanger in 6th with a firm grip on the coattails. Hibbert having half a look at Taylor's, the final corner on the lap. Mike Dam breaks in very, very deep as well. What is the state of brake markers at that final corner? Because when we rode on board with Timon Bramley and he got it spectacularly wrong, I didn't see the usual sort of 150, 150 markers that you might expect to see.
Yeah, this isn't an F1 Class 1 circuit, so we don't see that kind of thing around here.
Here is a lap from top of the windshield of Michael Coates. 6th place at the moment. Could be 5th if it's a long stop for Gianni Mayuro. Probably still going to be behind Nick Rice-Puto, depending on how that stop goes. But we don't know, and that's the beauty of this format, the 45-minute races with a fuel stop in the middle.
They're actually catching Gianni on track right now, and it's not...
Yeah, true. He's only just ahead of them and still needs to make a pit stop, so he'll definitely be behind these guys. But it could make things interesting if he stays out too much longer.
Yeah, and Gianni's made a little mistake last lap, but he's gone and put 2 tires off on the exit of Butcher's, but he's mostly lost it on pace, I'd say. It'll be curious to see how he looks on the other side of the overcut, because he and Simon Fullweather were in a pretty steep battle there for a bit. Oh, and you just see the impact. Oh, and ahead there's an impact as Camden Hibbert and Ronnie Coates tangled a little bit on the exit of the chicane.
Mike Dam ends up all over the back of them. Bad exit from Ronnie Coates at the next corner as well. And Camden Hibbert, you got to think, what do I do? He's going to the inside, maybe even going to try to box Coates in against Gianni Mayuro in the final corner. Hibbert has the inside. Can he get the traction? Yes, he can, because Mike Dam also has a look, and that compromises Ronnie Coates. Gianni Mayuro pits, and the battle is on. Michael Coates has to think what he's going to do as Mike Dam takes a defensive line against him. It means the only driver we're yet to see pit is the race leader, Nick Rice-Puto. These guys, are they going to undercut him, or if they battle, does it play into his hands? I suspect at the moment the race win is a 5-way fight between these 4 drivers and Nick Rice-Puto running long. He's in the lane.
I was going to say it's 9 a.m. and it's darker than it was when we started the race because the clouds just come over, which feels very realistic, it must be said. And as Nick Rice-Puto hits the lane, we don't see any tires going onto that car, but we do see on the exit Gianni Moro exiting the lane right behind Jordy Fike, and critically several car lengths behind Ken Copeland and Simon Foweather. And then Foweather just goes and sticks it all 4 tires in the gravel on the exit.
Rice-Puto is rejoining the race, and he's got a handsome little lead there because he is the race leader. You count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 Haggises, and then Camden Hibbett, Ronnie Coates, Mike Dam, Michael Coates, all in a flurry. They are 5 seconds behind. Running long's worked out relatively well for Rice-Puto.
Yeah, he got pretty lucky with the traffic, it must be said. All the folks that stayed on were behind him, and all the folks that pit early were ahead of him. It kind of just really was nicely played strategy-wise from him, and he's really done a Tour de France-esque job as he's broken away from the pack here. Unfortunately for him, he's going to have to deal with some of that traffic up ahead. There's plenty of lappers in the next 10 seconds of road ahead of him.
You don't even need to fall a minute away from the race leader to be a lap down here at Knockhill. 1.25 miles, 2 kilometers, sub 1 minute laps, even in these cars. I bet you get on YouTube and find some hot laps in an F1 car or something here that'd be like 40 seconds. Absolutely mind-bending stuff. Really, really quick lap. But what it does mean is you get a lot of opportunities to practice and try to perfect each of these corners. And you need it because they are tricky the way you've got to pick the right line across the curb, some blind crests, all of that.
Yeah, no markers, as we mentioned. So it's all sight picture. It's all feel. They're still glued together back here, but they do seem to be working together a little bit at this point. They're not gaining significant ground. More or less maintaining pace with the leader, but as we cross the line this time, we see they're only about 5.5 seconds back. So if Rice-Puto goes and gets held up by some of these, and as I say that, he goes a little deep into 3 and puts all 4 tires off in the gravel. But if he gets a little held up by these back markers, he's going to be right back into that battle pretty quick-like.
Michael Coates has a slowdown too much across the curb, and that's going to wrench those coattails out of his hand, and he'll drop away from the battle for the podium. Camden Hibbett, Ronnie Coates, Mike Dam becomes a 3-way fight. And fight it is, as Ronnie Coates is right at the rear bumper of Camden Hibbett as they came to Taylor's. Didn't quite look like he got that right, but it's easy to say from this seat and very hard to make the corner from that seat.
And Nick Rice-Puto's already working with the back markers. He's taken Lee Martin last time by, and he's got another 2 ahead in his sights, including Tom Aton and Jose Gonzalez of the open field, who are running 2nd and 3rd behind Andrew Gilliland, who's leading the open class right now.
Yeah, it's getting pretty spicy in that open class, isn't it?
I've misspoken. No? Paulo Coimbra. Yeah. Yep. So that was 2nd, 3rd, and 4th we were reviewing there. So a really good drive here from Paulo Coimbra, actually.
Yeah, indeed. He ran a lot longer than everyone else in that class, and that seems to have been the strategy today because look how well it worked for Nick Rice-Puto as well. There was sort of this temptation to try to pit early and get out of the traffic, but really it doesn't look like it let anyone really make too many undercuts. You can see Camden Hibbett driving just slightly defensively, getting a little off the racing line, breaking the toe somewhat, and of course then Ronnie Coates and Mike Dam have got to follow.
And they're doing it really nicely. Dam actually had to have a pretty big lift there. Oh, and then ahead. Oh, that was a big moment from Camden Hibbett. He did a really good job of gathering that up, but I bet you he's going to have to make a visit to one of those rail cars at the back after he saved that one.
I've heard good things about the food around this place as well. They love deep frying just about anything in Scotland, so I'm told.
I can get behind
Good cakes and such as well.
Ooh.
This is Hibbett leading him down the middle of the road again as well. And he's not quite as keen as opening up the entry into turn one as Ronnie Coates is, carrying as much speed as possible down the hill, but still needing to stay driver's left for the tight right-hander that follows.
And Camden just shows that fearlessness as this time, right after making a mistake on the last lap, he throws it back through that chicane again. This track really requires you to have a short memory because you're taking big risks every lap. And you're going to do 50 of them in a race.
If a Goldfish had 55 seconds of memory, it could still lap around here because, yeah, you make a mistake at one corner. It's not too long before you're back there again, being asked the same question, trying to deliver a better answer, trying to perfect your line, trying to maybe see what's quick but what's risky. And it's 10 laps left. Nick Rice-Puto maintaining his lead. The battle between Camden Hibbett, Ronnie Coates, Mike Dam. Michael Coates closing them back in again. So he has recovered somewhat from the slowdown that he picked up. Open class leader is Paulo Coimbra with some time in hand from Andrew Gilliland. But Gilliland's been caught by Jose Gonzalez and Tom Athon. Gilliland's been behind David Stabe, and I don't know if that's slowed him up or if it's helped him, but he's certainly been caught by Gonzalez and Athon, who are not fighting each other. So that podium and some points in that open class so up for grabs still in these final minutes as well.
Yeah, this is going to be as predicted a fist fight, not just at the start but at the end. I'm also noticing that Gianni Morrow's gotten past Jordy Fike and now has nothing between himself and Simon Foweather but about 3 seconds on the track. So we might get to see those two have their final round here before the end too.
The salmon machine working its way upstream somewhat. Yeah, a couple of drivers he still might be able to catch.
And Rice-Puto just calmly approaching the middle of this open class battle, it must be said. He's going to have blue flags, but he might not get the accommodation he's hoping for with both of these two battling for what is effectively the podium, third place in the hands of Jose Gonzalez right now, and Tom Athon desperate to get that spot back so he doesn't drop any points to Andrew Gilliland ahead.
Yeah, showed the nose and got given nothing for it in the final corner. He's going to need to get a little bit closer if he's going to demand that Tom Athon step aside. So Athon's not going to lose a second letting him through. You've kind of got to get side by side with him, and at that point he'd probably not defend it. But he runs so wide. The leader almost runs wide as well. And there he goes past Tom Athon.
I was going to say he got side by side, but maybe not quite how and where he expected to do it.
Yeah, precisely. That helps Jose Gonzalez, who's still trying to catch Andrew Gilliland.
Yeah, and despite that, Rice-Puto really didn't seem to have gained all that much, but he will here as Jose gives the spot quite graciously back to him. Hopefully at not too much expense to himself, because Tom Athon's closing down as they go down the straightaway here. And this will really be the race here for Rice-Puto, is how cleanly can he manage his way through this traffic, because the guys behind are going to be asked the same question right away, but they're going to be doing it while they're fighting over second place, which I imagine is going to be a little bit tougher.
2 wheels in the air, drifting across the crest for Camden Hibbett as he holds on to second place. He's got a couple car lengths at the moment on Ronnie Coates, who does not have a car length on Mike Dam. The pole sitter was super quick in qualifying, and they all close up. It's kind of uphill on this back straight as well, and I think that helps the slipstream deceptively around here. You do get to gain about a car length or so in the tow along there, and then maybe uphill again on the pit straight. It helps. You seem to go downhill through the corners and uphill on the straights here, which is an interesting little roller coaster.
It is. I've caught something out of the corner of my eye. I had to do a little investigating. So Jordy Fike managed to get around Gianni Morro last lap on the exit of the last turn, and I was kind of confused about why until I saw that Gianni had gone all 4 tires off and had a heck of a drama saving it before immediately diving into the pits. And so another factor that we'll need to think about in the last 5 minutes of this race is incidents, because there's a 20 incident limit before you get a drive-through penalty, and Gianni's gone and served his right away like a good driver should. Will that be a factor for anyone else who's in our leading groups here?
Who else have we seen riding some curbs, getting some door banging going on?
I was gonna say I've got a few guys in the top 10 north of 6 or 7 incidents, and I got Rui Coimbra with 11, Michael Coates with 9, but that's maybe an incomplete count because it doesn't always capture all the incidents from the door banging.
Yeah, I don't trust the JRT estimate, to be honest with you. I've never known it to be particularly accurate. We don't have an official figure on that. Andy Kosick looks to stay out of the way of the podium battle for outright position, and we had a long shot down the pit straight, and it seems like everyone is just in that little bit of the track at the moment. The leaders starting to catch this battle sort of from 11th through to 17th in the outright spots, which encompasses our open class drivers who are battling for the podium in that class. So it's all happening here. You can still see Tom Ayton and Jose Gonzalez, David Stabe, Andrew Gill, and Gianni Mayuro just out front of the other battle that we're watching. So there's not much real estate, and they all seem to be in the same room.
Yeah, it's a little knife fighting over there, but they're going to put on a show for us here. 3 laps to go.
Yeah, they sure are. Not much time, not many laps left. Nick Rice-Puto still looking to just bring it home. Ran long to the pit stop, stopped late, came out with a nice little lead, and he's just had to manage it from there. Behind, are they planning some fireworks? Andrew Gilliland and David Staber side by side in the final corner, and these guys can see it just up in front of them. Gilliland is coming under pressure from Gonzalez and Athon, and they both go into the wall. David Stabe gets turned, and he ends up in the tires.
I'm not entirely sure what happened. It looked like Stabe just kind of forgot that Gilliland was there and angled back across the track until he self-pitted into the wall. Either way, that's knocked Andrew Gilliland from ahead of Tom Ayton to behind. And Jose Gonzalez now runs second, Tom Ayton third in open class. So really good points for those two. And what's that? It's our second, third place in pro coming through as well. So Gilliland's having to race for his life, but also really compromising Ronnie Coates here as he tries to catch up to Camden Hibbett. And Mike Dam's got to move up the inside. Oh, he thought about it.
Yeah, he sure did. Through all of that melee and fracas, Camden Hibbett got through. Ronnie Coates got held up there. Mike Dam had a dig at him. Now Hibbett's looking pretty in second place. The final step on the podium to be decided. 2 more laps, such as how quick they get around here. Mike Dam's thinking, how can I have an attack on Ronnie Coates?
It is dramatic in that in those few corners right there. Leader had a lapper lock it up behind him and have a near incident, but managed to survive it.
Yeah, and there's still a little bit of traffic for the next group because Hibbett looking to get past Tom Ayton by the looks of it. Yeah, Ayton runs the middle of the road and gives him nothing for free, which is interesting to see when you get this kind of pro class battle intermingling with the open class battle. No one wants to be too courteous just at the end here, and it looks like the white flag is waving. Nick Rice-Puto has 1.25 miles to go to try to take a Spec-5 World Tour race win.
I'm going to say Ronnie Coates, is he not a team guy too? Because that could be a factor as well here. I think he is not a team.
He's not a team. That's what I'm going to say.
There you go.
Just to make it more confusing. Final lap for all in the open class battle and in this pro class battle. And Paulo Coimbra looking good in the open class. Jose Gonzalez, can he come under some pressure from Gilliland? But Rice Pudo is going to come out of the final corner. He's put the open class leader a lap down here, I think, and the checkered flag will wave on both of them. The race win in pro for Nick Rice Pudo, the race win in open for Paulo Coimbra. Drama for Tom Athon as he is around in the final corner, and Jose Gonzalez will go to second. Andrew Gilliland will go to third. Will Andy Kosick even come through for a position? No, I think he's already gone a lap down. What happened, and was it off the nose of Ronnie Coates?
It was exactly that. Ronnie Coates tried to bury the throttle, I think, and just kind of drove through him. Sends Tom Aton spinning, lets Mike Dam by for third on the podium in pro. And that's actually had a big effect there on Tom Aton. I'd say he lost at least one position there coming to the line. It might have been 2 or 3. He'll be unhappy about that, I got to think. And as predicted by Race Admin, there's going to be plenty to check on the IRT report.
Well, 48 laps and drama for the podium and in both classes at the final corner, at the very, very final time of asking. This is how they crossed the finish line. Nick Rice Pudo taking the race win from Camden Hibbett. Mike Dam ends up third as Ronnie Coates, I think, might have actually dropped a spot there as well with that drama. Yeah, he did. So Coates ended up in fourth, and then the other Coates in fifth. Rui Coimbra, Eugenio Polici, Ken Copeland, Simon Foweather, and Geordie Fike as the top 10. Greg Mack, open class winner Paulo Coimbra, then Gianni Mayuro twice through the pit lane as he exceeded the incident limit. Jose Gonzalez and Andrew Gilliland second and third in the open class, and the field completed by Lee Martin, Tom Athon, Andy Kosick 2 laps down, David Stabe 4 laps down in the end as his race came to an end also in the final corner in dramatic circumstances. And then retirements, Trevor Roy and Simon Bramley. And I think Charles Vaccaro wanted to race and his internet might have given up on him.
Yeah, it was something like that for sure. Oh, and you can stop gripping your whiskey glasses so tightly, everyone. That was a dramatic one. But I'd say we could come back here next week and have a good time too if we wanted.
So let's have a look and see who we can chat with. How about the race winner? Nick Rice Pudo joins us. I was thinking that this might be a track that was a little technical, might spread the field a little bit more, but it was really, really close racing in the first half.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I got lucky. I was able to break the draft. And then I really was just trying to lay down quali laps the whole time. And it seemed to work out.
There was a sort of middle phase of the race where you were starting to catch some traffic, which is going to happen around a sub 1 minute lap. And you didn't stop early. You stayed it out. And those who did stop early looked like they ended up in a different kind of traffic, and it worked to your favor as well.
Yeah, I seemed to get clean air, or the people that were in front of me seemed to get out of the way very nicely. So that was nice.
Well, I don't have a whole lot else to say to you other than, congratulations. You might have spent more time with your left-hand side tires on the pavement than your right-hand side tires around here.
Yeah, I was sliding around quite a bit.
And the most laps completed that I think we're going to see by that short nature, many rides across those curbs, a lot of airtime. What's your sort of tip or trick or for that to try to be consistent but quick?
I try to hit marks, like all your marks, like going up the uphill. You want to be like right on that first cone every time. Otherwise, you're just going to miss it. And then you want to turn right immediately. I just have marks pretty much everywhere on the track.
Well, congratulations. And we'll hopefully see for some of the remaining races a great win at a really challenging and technical circuit.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun. Thank you, guys.
Nick Rice Pudo, the pro class winner. I can see the open class winner or at least I could. Have you got him, Devin?
Yeah, I found Paulo Coimbra, and after what was a pretty quiet first half of the race by the looks of things, you've all of a sudden gained a bunch of positions on the last lap, it looked like. Or were you ahead of that melee?
Yeah, I didn't expect this. I came to this race with very little practice. I've been traveling, and I just wanted to be safe. There was a couple incidents in the beginning, and I think that put me a little bit ahead. Yeah, I didn't do nothing much. I just got lucky, I guess.
I don't think there's much luck involved in this tight little circuit around here. First time racing at Knockhill?
Very first time. I bought the track last night.
Well, very nicely executed. You put together a heck of a race and a clean one, which seemed to be the key tonight.
Yeah, I did have a couple incidents that did bother me a little bit because they were so marginal. I could have avoided, but usually I'm not that clean, so I'm okay with 3 incident points, 3 or 4, I think. I don't remember now.
Yeah, that's a pretty great result around here. And working with Team Not a Team to get yourself up to speed?
Yes, I came from a trip yesterday, so I joined the guys a little bit, bought the track, joined the guys a little bit, and obviously I was the slowest one in practice. But I do like these little tracks with a lot of lefts and rights, a lot of braking, so I do enjoy that.
Well, your skill and good consistency showed and won the day today. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it, guys. And thanks to you guys for broadcasting. Thanks for the Spec-5 management guys and the Not a Team guys. We have a lot of fun practice together, and thanks to them too.
Thank you very much. Have a good one.
Thank you too. Bye-bye.
Great to hear from our winners of both classes. In 1 week's time, we move from Knockhill to the Zandvoort Grand Prix circuit. Again, a slightly shorter kind of technical layout. We'll see how the drivers fare there in 1 week's time, and you'll see that here on SimSpeed TV as well. So wherever you're watching, please do subscribe. And of course, we give our thanks to RC Sales. Go to rcsales.com for all that is Porsche. RC has thousands of parts available for virtually any Porsche model, providing high quality service with a personal approach. With worldwide shipping available, you won't need to go anywhere else. Visit rcsales.com today. I mean, Devin, what a race today. You could have expected a little bit of chaos, but I think we got a little bit more strategy and a little bit cleaner racing and a little bit closer racing than I guess I was expecting out of Knockhill in these cars.
Yeah, the Spec-5 series really delivered today. It's a challenging circuit. It's really demanding on the drivers, and they did a great job out there today. I'm looking forward to the next one.
And certainly, it closes up things interestingly in both championships. Your pro class leader finishing 4th and a new winner in the open class with just 2 rounds left to go. It does set up 2 more interesting races, Zandvoort GP next week, and then a finale, a 90-minute endurance round on the Indianapolis road course. That could also be high speed and a lot of slipstream. We look forward to both of them. And we thank the supporters of the league, both RC Sales and the drivers you see on the results here with the coloured numbers that have donated to the series for the hosting and for the broadcasting. And hopefully they've enjoyed this race. We have. We'll see you in 1 week's time at Zandvoort. Bye-bye.